In 1985, Shimano made the choice to only introduce componentry at the top end level, and then it would filter down. Last year, we saw XT take on the 12-speed form previously laid out by the top-end XTR transmission. And we also saw the budget-conscious SLX take it on, which was so good that I questioned why you would need any more. But now there's an even cheaper one, and I totally didn't see this one coming. This is Shimano Deore M6100 in 12-speed. Now, just before I go on about the 12-speed setup here in front of me, you might be interested in the fact that you can also get a 10 and 11-speed option, and there's also a double available. Now, the 10-11 options aren't quite as good as the Deore because they lack some of that newer technology that came down from the XTR level, but nonetheless, it means you can go 10, 11 or 12-speed, and of course with the 10 and 11, you've also got the option of a double or a single, so that's a huge array of components in the Deore line. Now, Shimano actually sent me a bike with the Deore Groupset on to make this video, but it wasn't quite doing it for me. I wanted to show you everything close up. I mean, look at it, look at the details on this stuff. When did budget ever look this good? Let's take a closer look, shall we? Okay, so let's look at the cranks first. Well, and as you can see, they look really nice. Budget these days doesn't mean cheap. Two different terms completely, and this shows that completely. So they've got a lovely black finish to them. They've got slightly greyed out matte areas with some laser etching on here with the Deore branding. They look really nice. Now, they don't share the same Holotech construction as the more expensive options in the range, but they're not that much heavier. You're talking about 150 grams heavier for a set with the equivalent chainring over a set of XT. So that's pretty amazing. Now, they're only available in 170 and 175, but that will suit most riders out there. And they only have two chainring options, a 30 or a 32. The good news though is all of the 12-speed system is completely interchangeable. So this chainring design fits the same exact way as you see on SLX, same as XT and the same as XTR. So you can share the chainring sizes across the board there. They just offer two to get going with at this level. And to be fair, the 30 and the 32 are going to suit most riders at the Deore level really well. Like I said, there's two options in length, the 170 and 175, but there's also three Q factors available. There's 172, 178 and 181. The 181 is the huge Super Boost, so it's really cool to see Super Boost at this level. As with the rest of the 12-speed range, it shares the same chainring profile design as well. That's the dynamic chain engagement system. So essentially they've got really long profile teeth, you get a narrow one and you get a wide one. In conjunction with the dynamic chain engagement plus chain, you get essentially a perfect fit. The whole point is it reduces friction, it reduces noise, it increases retention, and it reduces wear. What is not to like about that? Next up comes the cassette, and actually this is my favourite part of the 12-speed system by Shimano. So from the ground up, it's exactly the same layout as you see on the XTR all the way down to this Deore level. It installs onto the bike using the microspline system, which is a slightly different take on the regular spline system. So microspline is slightly smaller in diameter and is slightly shorter as well to compensate for this little 10-tooth sprocket. So it's a 1051 spread on here. Now the connection to the actual microspline is much better, especially for the 12-speed interface that puts a lot more torque through that body. It's specifically designed from the ground up, and I love the fact that Shimano haven't skimped here. You've got this on all four levels, from Deore all the way up to XTR. There is no difference in the way it fits. Now the cassette itself is a little bit heavier, as you might expect, because of the fact it's made from steel. The good side of that is it means it's cheap and it's very durable. That is exactly what you want to be hearing. The XTR one has 3 alloy cogs at the top, it has a load of tie ones in the middle to keep the weight down, and it has some steel ones at the low end there. XT has 2 alloy cogs at the top and the rest is steel. SLX has a single alloy cog, whereas this is complete steel. The ratios are exactly the same though. It's only available in the 1051, unlike some of the other ones higher up in the range which are available in the 1045, but that is particularly to go with the double. This is all about 1x12 at the Deore range. Now, as far as weight goes, you're talking about 360 grams for the Shimano XTR, which is super high end, but this one is just under 600 grams and this only makes it about 60 or 70 grams heavier than the SLX. So yes, okay, it's heavier, but not by much. and the durability you get from this is amazing. And more importantly, it has the same exact shifting system. This uses Hyperglide Plus. Now, Shimano developed Hyperglide in the 90s, and the whole point of Hyperglide was to really accentuate the shifting up the block. Now, if you look at the profiles on the teeth of the sprockets here, you can see they've got these little ramps, and the ramps are designed to literally pull the chain up. It basically means as you're shifting up the block into a lower gear, you can basically still do it under load, it will still go up. Now, bearing in mind that you're doing this with your chain under tension basically the whole time. When you're shifting back down again or shifting into a smaller sprocket size or a higher gear, your derailleur is not under tension in the same way, you're releasing tension. So the downshift has never been quite as good as an upshift. But this is where Hyperglide Plus comes in, because it's actually got the same ramps in a different direction, designed to pull the chain back down the sprockets again. Now that is incredible. It shifts exactly the same up or down, under load or not. Amazing shifting quality, the same as you expect on SLX, XT and XCR, and you're now getting this at the Deore level. That is bonkers. Next up is the chain, which complements that 12-speed cassette perfectly. Now, this is very similar to the slightly more expensive and slightly lighter options you see further up in the range. It's directional, so that's really important to note. It shares the same quick link design, which makes installation an absolute cinch. Also, that's a really good spare for you to carry out on the trails. The most important thing about this dedicated 12-speed chain for Deore is the fact it's got a dynamic chain engagement system. So these inner plates, you can see here, if you look close up, they protrude quite a lot more than the outer plates. And they've also got slightly chamfered edges on the inside. The whole point of this is the fit, bearing in mind you've got a male and female link, and they fit against opposing sprockets and chainring teeth. The whole point of this is you get the best fit possible, because the fact if there's movement around there, the chain can come off, and it also creates friction. Friction also equates noise. You don't want any of that stuff going on. So with this dynamic chain engagement plus system you see on Shimano's 12-speed, you get less noise, you get less friction, the chain lasts longer, and it's less likely to come off. There's literally nothing to not like about it. Simple. Okay, now it's time to talk about the rear derailleur, and actually, I'm so stoked on this. This is a really, really cool part of the Deore transmission. Now, in the past, you could say that the cheaper end of transmissions, the derailleur itself was one of the hindrances there. A lot of people didn't mind if you had cheaper chain and cassette because it's a consumable part that you wear out. The derailleur, though, is fundamental to the quality of your shifting, and many budget derailleurs in the past were a little bit flexible so you wouldn't get accurate shifting. They were easily damaged, although cheap to replace at the same time. Double-edged sword there. And they never looked as good. But look at this thing. That looks every bit as good as the SLX, every bit as good as the XT. I think that is a really, really good looking rear derailleur. But also, it's really functional as well, because it shares all of the main features that you need from the other more expensive derailleurs, but also it's rock solid. Many budget derailleurs have a really cheap cage on them that can be a bit bandy. This is every bit as solid as the XT. This is bonkers for the money. On the inside here, you've got a gloss part of the lower jockey cage. On the outside, or pulley cage, on the outside, you've got a matte finish. You've got the bigger 13-tooth pulley wheels on there to handle the 12-speed system. You've got the same parallelogram action that you see on all rear derailleurs from Shimano, and you've got the same 3 points of adjustment there. You've got the B screw, and you've got your limits in and out. Also, you have the clutch. Now, the clutch is a little bit different to the ones you see on the more expensive derailleurs. There is no external adjustment for how hard you want the clutch. There's just a lever to turn it on and off, which, to be fair, that is all you need. But you can still adjust the clutch by removing the housing on the outside here. To be honest, you will never need to do that. It's also using a much lighter action grease on the inside, so it's a better performing clutch as well. Great action. The only thing that is lacking compared to the more expensive ones is a little rubber bumper just down here. And to be fair, that's not even really essential on probably 90% of bike designs these days. My money would be on one of those, because let's face it, if you smash that on a rock, you're not going to cry about it. But it looks great as well. Awesome bit of work. Okay, so on to the shifter itself. Obviously it's 12 speed, it's got the barrel adjuster there. You've got a two-way release, so you can shift down with your finger and your thumb, depending on your preference or what you're actually doing when you're riding. Obviously you've got the upshift shifter here, nice and positive. It's got a really good action. It feels really quite stiff as well. Something that not all budget shifters have. You can sometimes get a bit of a mushy feel with them. Not this though, it feels really positive, really good. The cream on the cake though, I guess really is the fact it's got the iSpec EV mount on there. So that mount, you can basically change the pitch on there or roll it forwards and backwards as much as you want by 10 degrees. That's quite a large amount when you actually try and do that. And you've got 14 millimeters of lateral movement there, so you can really fine tune the position on the bars. That definitely doesn't feel like a budget shifter. That just feels like a really good shifter to use. Brilliant. Okay, so now on to the brakes, and there's two options here. You have the same levers and there's two options in calipers. Now I've got the 4-piston caliper option here, so a bit more heavier duty, maybe more trail or enduro focus, or if you're just a heavier duty rider. There's also the lighter 2-piston option available. Again, if you're a lighter rider or if you want to save some weight, or perhaps your focus is more cross-country orientated, they're going to be great for you. Lever wise, they're the same levers and they look nearly identical to some of the other ones. They're the exact same form. They've got all the same main features on them. They're just missing a few of the bells and whistles as you might expect, but certainly not when it comes to the finish on them. That finish is really, really quite classy. They look great. You've got your master cylinder bolt there. You've got the servo wave lever action on them, which is absolutely key to Shimano brakes. That increases the power, basically the deeper you get when you're pulling the brakes. When you really need to slow down, it helps you, it assists you in giving you more power later on. A really good feature. As with the SLX, the XT and the XTR, you've got a slightly different clamp design from previous years, and it's got the support there to really make sure the lever doesn't flex on the bars. It also gives you a bit more scope for where you're positioning your lever without interfering with other controls like dropper post remotes and things like that. It's a really, really tidy looking set of levers. And the calipers, I mean, wow. I can't believe, I keep saying this, I can't believe it's a budget system. It looks brilliant. It really does. Well, there you go. You could probably tell I'm beyond impressed with this. If you'd have put XT or XTR down in front of me, I would have expected it. I'd have been trying to find holes with it, but genuinely, this is the underdog transmission. What Shimano's done with Deore, I think is brilliant. They've not diluted the 12-speed range at all. You've got all the full features that you need. You've got the proper cassette, you've got the micro spline, you've got the Hyperglide Plus, you've got all of that great stuff that you get on the high-end stuff at a price point. Brilliant work, Shimano. Now, if you want to see a bit more about how Shimano gears work, in particular the Hyperglide Plus that I was telling you about and the Dynamic Chain Engagement Plus system, there's going to be a video hovering over there. Check it out. It's really quite cool. It might tell you a few things about shifting. As always, thanks for hanging around, guys. Don't forget to hit us up on Instagram and say hi. See you later.